welcome to the ॐÄNoMYTHz, a new show in which we will be discussing the mysteries, the mythologies, and cutting-edge new scientific breakthroughs about human consciousness and our relationship to the cosmos. For all my old viewers, this is going to be a bit of a departure from the way I used to do this channel, as I will now be moving into a more formal presentation of the knowledge and experiences that I've gained along my path and things that I've learned along my journey, which I think will be very helpful for everyone in understanding, our universe and our concepts of the way that we live our lives, and be able to give perspective to us that we can see beyond our differences and realize that these differences are really just the spice of life and the varieties that really, animate and give color and expression to, just the beauty of everything and all the divine expression. I want to start, I'm going to actually tell more stories now on this channel, and I wanted to start with the story of my first initiation essentially into this sort of knowledge and what has led me to the discoveries that I have come across and recently published in the ॐÄNoMYTHz and will continue to be publishing in the future. So 16 years ago, I was living in northeast Thailand and I contracted a bad case of dengue fever. When I got to a pretty bad point in which I was convulsing, I actually ripped an IV out of my hand, and because of the inability for my blood to clot, I started to bleed out. I woke up and I had blood from my neck down to my feet, and when that happened, doctors and nurses rushed into my room, and I actually experienced myself flatlining in the room. And when that happened, I experienced the first time of my astral body actually separating from my physical body. And, like many near-death experiences that you may have heard, I could actually see my body laying there in the hospital bed, and the doctors and the nurses working on me, trying to revive me. And the interesting thing, though, is that when I had this experience, I also realized that I wasn't alone in this room, that there were beings with an electric blue skin whose bodies, were pretty much transparent. It consisted only of stars and nebulas in the cosmos, were there actually levitating around me as I was floating in this hospital room. And seeing myself die there, they told me that I didn't have to die in this way, that there was another option, that there are alternate realities and alternate universes and alternate spheres of existence that are possible to move my consciousness into, that I could continue on. And when they showed me that these actual spheres were interlocking almost like wheels or gears of a cosmic clock, and I could see that there is an alternate reality that existed, that if I was to project my consciousness into it, I could wake up and I could continue along that timeline, even though no one would really remember the events of the past that had happened, including my bleeding out, for example. And so at that point, I projected my consciousness into one of these alternate spheres and woke up in the hospital bed, completely clean. The IV had switched from my left hand to my right hand, although I had a Band-Aid left over my left hand, and no one seemed to act like anything strange had happened at all when I came back to consciousness. Following this experience, I started to actually open to new gifts and new ways of seeing the universe and everything around me. My astral vision began to open up. I began to actually see the energy patterns surrounding people, not just auras or colors, but I could actually see literal geometric forms and energies that were rotating around the chakras, that were going into the sub-chakra systems, that were connecting to higher chakra systems into other dimensions, and then continuing on, to the point that as I developed this sight and I developed this gift, I could literally go in and watch the workings of this cosmic I don't want to say like machine, but actually it's like, because it's so organic, but this process really. And I could map out the geometries and essentially bring those back, which led me, a few years down the road to an experience when I was traveling around the world, and I found myself in the Julian Alps. And I discovered a six-dimensional city that existed in the Alps, that does exist in the Alps, in which I entered into through a portal between two trees where there was an electric blue orb, very much like the skin of these beings that I saw when I had that experience with dengue fever. And as I walked through this dimension gate, I walked into a realm in which, these higher dimensional beings existed within this realm. They were much taller than me. They were around 16 to somewhere even probably like 30 feet tall. The architecture was extremely opulent and, really, really impressive to a degree almost unimaginable to us. We're talking like crystal structures, the most intricate and delicate beauty and functionality, also having like a very scientific purpose with everything there. And they actually took me into a temple where I went through like initiation rite, very similar to what was practiced in ancient Egypt, and also, met my future, wife, which I'm now with for the first time, even 8 years before I ever met her, and my children, and had an experience of staying in this dimension for, it seemed, several weeks. Which afterwards I came out of the dimension and it was as no time had passed at all. It's like I hadn't even gone anywhere or left. Which after this experience, I continued to explore these realms using, a vast amount of entheogens and like psychedelic drugs, mainly like magic mushrooms and LSD, in which I could re-enter into these realms by following the specific geometries and going back to their source origination points, even tracking very specific vibrations and energies into, now mathematical precision of which frequencies would lead where, and what exact parts of our cosmos are emitting what kind of energies. And I actually spent about 7 years really exploring this heavenly and actually recording my experiences on the walls and creating a map of my own consciousness and of these alternate dimensions and these alternate timelines, in which I began to regain past life memories and began to reconfigure all the lost parts of my own consciousness and integrate them back into myself in this time, which was interesting because it was like walking between two worlds. It was walking between this world of this physical third dimensional reality, the 5 sense reality, which most people live in, and then walking between this entirely multi-dimensional cosmic scale of a great work occurring in the evolution of every single being, as we are all, our energy and our soul force momentum are all working towards the breaking through the dimension barrier into a completely new reality together as part of this new eon. And I was able to not just see these things, but to experience them very literally. And from these experiences and from my study and various initiations through mystery schools and just my own work, which I've been working very, very diligently for the last 10 to 20 years on being able to bring back and record these experiences and find a way to actually transmit them in a way that can be understood. And so that's the point of this channel going forward, which I intend to explain and be able to bring you to an understanding of how these various multidimensional realms and dimensions work, how how that directly affects our experience here, and how you can actually use this information to change your own life and to come into, one, the realization that you are pure source energy, that you are in fact the very self that is emanating the entirety of the cosmos, from within to out. But also that you may then experience your life as the unique perspective and unique energy signature that you are here to experience in this realm. That your dreams and your desires and even your fantasies are actually destined for you, and that if you follow these energies just very natural to who you really are, that you'll discover that your life awakens and opens in a way you never thought imaginable. And so I just want to welcome you to this new form in which I'm going to be transmitting on this channel, and I'm looking forward to teaching all kinds of very interesting and far out stuff for all of you. Hope you have a great day, and look forward. Make sure to subscribe so that you see when the videos are coming out. I'm not sure how consistent they will be, but my goal is to have them out at least every couple of weeks, a new episode. All right, well, have a good day. Bye. Concealed within the mysteries of Kala Chakra, the ancient inhabitants of Shambhala believed each god of our multiverse was a soul who had traversed 21,600 simultaneous lifetimes throughout multifarious histories, alternate realities, and timelines as multitudinous creatures and forms. All of these lives would occur within a given sphere of the space-time continuum, and when an individual would awaken to the ultimate truth, in all of these lives simultaneously, the 1,000-petal lotus would unfurl, revealing the self as Vairocana Buddha, seated beneath the Bodhi tree, whose body consisted of 1,001 Buddhas, seated upon the 1,001 petals, which each contained 100 million worlds. Each of these petals feathered the scales of the cosmic feathered serpent, and this feathered serpent was known throughout all the ancient world. In Joseph Campbell's Hero with 1,000 Faces, he proposed an idea he called the monomyth, which suggested that all stories are emanations of eternal recurrence, as each individual moves through various phases of growth as the hero of their own adventure in consciousness. The anomyth is the amalgamation of these adventures, as we, conscious evolving beings, are each the hero and god of our own personal universe, and each of our own unique stories feather the cosmic serpent as it expands infinitely into the void. Welcome to the ॐÄNoMYTH of oV'Ψ'Th.